Hello everyone. Today what we shall do is we shall start the third chapter of your history. The name of the chapter is Anti-British Rising and Peasant Revolt in Assam. This is the third chapter of your history of class 10. So what shall we study in this chapter? It's a very interesting chapter, and what we shall see in this chapter is that, you see, in our classes when we have studied history, mostly we have seen how India, rest of India, the mainland India as we call it, how they fought the British. Whenever we think of freedom struggle, we know how Mahatma Gandhi fought against the British, how Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose fought against the British, or Bhagat Singh, Sukhdev and Rajguru fought against the British. We know these stories. But what about Assam? Did the people here not fight against the British? Yes, sure they did. Then who are the people? Who fought against the British? Why did they fight against the British? Now, in answering all these questions before you, I want to make one thing very clear, and which is also expressed by the name of this chapter. First of all, this chapter from your history will tell you about these things, about how the people of Assam fought against the British. Clear? Now, when this fight against the British was taking place in Assam, remember that this fight was majorly taken up by the peasants in Assam. Peasants mean farmers. Now, why did the farmers take up this so much? Why were they angry? Why did they mainly fight against the British? The answer to all these questions you will get to know if you study this chapter. Now, I would request you at this point to open your book. On the first page of this chapter. Please open your books here and keep it with you. As I discuss, you can note certain things down. Today let me give you a very general idea about this chapter, and when I am giving you this general idea of this chapter, let me tell you that this idea you will get this. I am basically discussing pages 38, 39 and 40 and 41. 38, 39, 40 and 41. Not everything, but most of it, so that you get a general picture of what it is. Now, you see, by the 30s of the 19th century, what do you mean by the 19th century? 19th century is basically 1800 to 1899. So, I am saying the 30s of the 19th century, this is 1830s, basically 1830, 1831, 1832 up to 1839. The East India Company had established itself as a powerful force in Assam. Here you have to go back to the knowledge you have derived from class 9. You remember what happened during the Maumariya rebellion. The Maumariya rebellion weakened the Ahom kingdom. After the Ahom kingdom was weakened, the Burmese came into Assam. Then the Burmese were driven out of Assam by the British. The Treaty of Yandabu was signed in 1828 between the British and Boraupa, the king of Burma, and according to that treaty, the Burmese army said, we shall never come back to Assam. Then you remember that many British officials came into Assam. You have studied about Jenkins, you have studied about Scott, they all came to Assam. Then what happened? Slowly and gradually, the British began to do with Assam everything that they did in India. There was some revolt in Assam against the British rule. Gomdhar Kaur and Piuli Phukon, you will find their names in page number 38. They had organized a revolt in Assam against the British, but that revolt was not successful. The failure of this revolt shows that the British had become very powerful in Assam, and it was not possible to match swords with the British in Assam. Now, gradually the British began to make the people of Assam very angry. They started taking many steps by which the people of Assam were very irked, very disturbed and troubled by the British rule in Assam. Now, how did they do it? One interesting thing is that in this century, at this time, these people called the Mahajans began to develop in Assam. A group of people called Mahajans, they began to grow, thrive and develop in Assam. Who are the Mahajans? Mahajans are basically money lenders. Alright, the Mahajans are basically the money lenders. So, why did the Mahajans begin to rise? Why did the Mahajans begin to grow? The Mahajans began to grow because in Assam, the British put a lot of pressure on the local rulers to extract tax, land revenue, Lagan, alright, the land revenue. They put a lot of pressure on the rulers to extract a lot of tax from the people, and many of them could not pay that tax because of many reasons. Alright, I am talking of the rulers, the small kings and all these things. They could not pay the complete taxes because of various reasons. The crops had failed or the demand was too high. So now if these rulers don't pay the tax to the British, the people pay tax to the rulers pay tax to the British. Now if the rulers don't pay the tax to the British will take away their empire. So fearing, not empire really, their kingdoms. So fearing that they would lose their kingdom, to save their kingdom, the kings, the rulers began to take money loans from money lenders. They began to take money loans from money lenders. Those money lenders were known as Mahajans. So the Mahajans began to grow, prosper and develop because the British had created a situation where they demanded a lot of tax. And since the rulers did not have enough money in their hands always, they had to go and borrow money. And they borrowed money from the Mahajans at high rate of interest. They had to borrow this money. And what happens as a result? Mahajans will develop. Any other thing that happened? What happens? If I am the king and I go on borrowing money, what will happen to me? Do you have any idea? Yes, I will fall in a debt cycle. I will fall in a debt cycle. Debt, D-E-B-T, debt. Mane udhar, korjo, baki, debt. I will fall in a trap of debt cycle. Alright? In a debt cycle. Do you get the point or not? So today I will take money from you. I will tell you I will return it tomorrow. Tomorrow also I did not get enough money. I go and tell you, please give me some more money. I will return it together. So you lend me again. Then that some more again I am not able to lend, and that again I am not able to pay you back. In this way what happens? Although I am the king, you owe a lot of money from me. You are supposed to get a lot of money from me. In this way what happens? My position as king is coming down. A king cannot have debts, but here you have got all these small rulers, not only the kings, the zamindars, the big zamindars and everybody. They began to have huge debts. And when a zamindar and a king has huge debts, a time will come when the Mahajan will what? Demand his money back. And then you see it is like this. When the Mahajan begins to demand his money back, a point will come, he will lend you no more money. The British wants the tax from you. Mahajan is not lending him money. What will happen? The British will say, now you see, if you can't pay the tax, you have to give your kingdom to me. Alright? So this is how it was. Now who are these Mahajans? The Mahajans were basically Marwadi people who came into Assam. They saw a business opportunity here. The British have come in. They will demand tax from the rulers. These rulers cannot pay tax. They will need to borrow money. So what happened? These Marwadi people, people of the Marwadi community who were very rich businessmen, they came into Assam because they sensed a business opportunity here. So what business opportunity? They lend money, and one day when I will not be able to pay them, they will say, okay, no problem, you give this piece of land to me. You give this piece of land to me. So that way they did the business. Then again, remember one more thing. At this time, a person named Anandaram Dhekiyal Phukan, he in 1851 wrote a letter to Moffat Mills. He wrote a letter, Anandaram Dhekiyal Phukan. Who wrote this letter? Anandaram Dhekiyal Phukan, he wrote a letter to Moffat Mills in the year 1859. In that letter also, Phukan mentioned that in some areas of Kamrup, Darang, the condition was such that the people had to sell properties, that the people had to sell their belongings, that the people even had to sell their own children to get the money to pay the company. So he said that please do something, create some industries in Assam so that the people can work and get money. Then you remember, are you getting the point? Then remember, in the rest of India, the British had destroyed the cottage industries. You remember I told you in class 9 how the British had destroyed the muslin industry of India. Dhaka was the headquarter of muslin silk, and the British, what did they do? They cut the finger, the thumb of these people so that they could not weave on the charkha. So that way they destroyed the muslin industry of India. Same thing happened in Assam. Our jute industry, our muga industry of Assam are very famous. What did they do? They destroyed these industries too. The British also destroyed these industries. Now, as you have just seen, the aristocratic people, the nobles, the zamindars, they go to borrow money. The common people have been destroyed because their livelihoods have been destroyed. So the common people and the aristocratic people, the leading noble people and the common people, all have become one. Everybody's condition in Assam had become the same. Alright, all their conditions had become the same. Now, at one point of time in the middle of this 19th century, in the middle of the 19th century, after the British came into Assam, they established tea gardens in Assam. Now, to encourage people to take up tea gardening, they encouraged the planters to start tea gardens. And what did they do? To encourage people to start. Now, suppose you want to start a tea garden, and I am the government, and I tell you to pay tea gardens, as you know, the area is huge. They are very large estates, they are called, large places. Now, if I say that you have to pay tax for all this land, you will not start a tea industry, you will not start a tea garden. So what did the British do? To encourage people to start tea plantation, to start plantation of tea gardens in India, tea leaves in India, they said that anybody who starts a tea garden, for them, the land of the tea garden, for the land of the tea garden, you don't have to pay taxes. But they were British. They will never let go an inch of their profit. They will never forego an inch of their profit. So to encourage tea garden people, they said you don't have to pay tax, but you can understand that some amount of money had what? It was gone. Do you understand? For the British, if the British has given me this land, this whole land for tea gardening, and said you don't have to pay tax for this land, then what happens? They lose on this tax. The British don't get tax for this much. And imagine so many tea gardens, so much of tax is gone missing. So what do? Do they really leave it like that? No. What did they do? They put the burden of the tax on the poor laborers working in the tea garden. Do you get the point or not? They put the burden of getting the tax of this land on the poor workers of tea garden. Just imagine how unfair it is. The owner of the tea garden earns the profit, and they have put the burden of the taxes on the poor tea cultivators, the poor, very poor workers of the tea garden. So due to all these things, what happened was that the British were making the people of Assam very angry. And naturally, when the revolt of 1857 took place, again we are going to that important part of India's history, 1857, the Sepoy Mutiny, the first war of India's independence. When that started, it is very natural that the people lent their support to this struggle. And as you can see, most of the burden was on the farmers. Whether you are a jute farmer, whether you are a cotton farmer, whether you are a tea farmer, whatever farmer you are, the maximum burden was on the farmers. Why? Because you see, the Mahajans will give money to the king. The Mahajans will not give money to a poor farmer who has got nothing. Mahajan's eyes are on the king's land or the zamindar's land. But a poor farmer has got no land, so the Mahajan is not giving the money, even the poor farmer is not getting money even from the Mahajan. So what does the poor farmer do? Is very angry on this system, very angry on this government that is putting so much of pressure on him. That is why when the 1857 revolt broke out and it reached Assam, the fire of the mutiny reached Assam, the peasants of Assam lent their all-out support to this movement. Right? So once again, let me just discuss with you. This is the background of this chapter. The rest of the discussion on this chapter that you will see, you will only see how various groups of farmers organized their revolts at various points in time at various places of Assam. Right? So let us have a look again at what was happening in Assam at this time. I told you that by the 30s of the 18th century, the British had established themselves as a very strong power in Assam. By the 30s of the 18th century, 19th century, 1830s to 1830 to 1839, during this period, the British had become a very strong power in Assam. After becoming a strong power in Assam, they began to exploit the people. They began to exploit the people. How? By demanding huge taxes. From the people. Now, when they demanded taxes, now what do they do? How do they demand the tax? They don't just directly go to the people. British were very clever. Huh? They will not lose their face in front of the people. You know it. I told you last year why the Congress was formed. Who made the Indian National Congress? Allan Octavian Hume. What did the Congress do? One India's freedom. Was Allan Octavian Hume a fool that he started Congress against his own people? No, not at all. It was a British politics, a policy, a very well thought out policy, very intelligent policy. I should not call it intelligent, it's cunning, a very cunning policy to make the Indians appear bad in front of the Indians. So I told you in class 9, I hope you remember, when the people went to the Congress with some demand, what did the Congress do? The Congress wrote petitions to the government, to suppose the Deputy Commissioner of Karimganj, dear sir, I beg to state that I request you to, excuse the tax for the people of such and such village because there was no crop this year. What did the Deputy Commissioner do? Deputy Commissioner would take the petition, read okay, fine. When the Congress people went out of his room, he just threw this thing in the basket, in the dustbin, in the waste paper basket. But if some Indian directly approached the British Deputy Commissioner, the Deputy Commissioner solved this problem. To do what? To show them that the British are good, your own people are cheating you. It was not the fact. What would the Congress do? They are not the government, they are just an organization. The power is in the hands of the people of the British people. The power is in the hands of the British people. So gradually the Congress, realized that no, this way we won't do. We will not go for any prayer and petition. And the Congress was divided into Naram Dal and Garam Dal, and they started to demand Purna Swaraj. Same thing happened here. They did not go to the people of Assam directly and say, give me tax. They went to the aristocratic people, the zamindars, the kings. They went there and said, take tax out of the people. And they demanded heavy tax. The zamindar went to the farmers and said, I pay tax. Why did the zamindar go there? Because he knew if he does not pay tax, then what will happen? Then his zamindari will be gone. The British will take away his zamindari. His zamindari will be gone. The British will take his zamindari. To save his zamindari, either the zamindar put pressure on the peasants, on the farmers, or the zamindar borrowed money from the Mahajan. Borrowed money from the Mahajan, money lender. Mahajan means money lender. Now these Mahajans were basically people of the Marwadi community who had come into Assam at that time, sensing business opportunity. Mahajans gave away money, and this way the Mahajans grew in Assam. The Mahajans gave away money till a point came when the zamindar or the king was completely neck deep in debt, debt, udhari, baki. He was neck deep in debt. So one side he has got the Mahajan to deal with, one side there is the British government. What would happen? Nothing, catastrophe. The British took away his everything, and the Mahajan got a portion of it. Clear? This is one reason why the aristocrats were angry. Then you see, we have already told you, the British started tea gardens in India. To encourage tea farming in India, they said that if you are a tea owner and you want to start a tea garden, then you don't have to pay tax on the enormous amount of land that you will have as your tea garden. Oh, by the way, remember the owners of the tea garden were not Indians, they were British. So they had tea gardens. So tax exemption. Now the British, as I told you, were very intelligent people. They have said, okay, this is your land. On this land, it is 100% tax free. Tax free for whom? Tax free for the owner of the garden, not for the laborers. The laborers had to, the garden owners, in order to make up the loss, the garden owners put a lot of pressure on the poor tea workers, tea garden workers of Assam. They put a lot of pressure on them. So, owing to all these decisions, owing to all these measures, the people, the peasants were very, very angry, irritated and troubled with the British, and that is why when the revolt of 1857 reached the shores of Assam, the peasants organized themselves into various anti-British movement during this period. So as I told you, please read page number 38, 39, 40 and 41. Next day I shall ask you questions based on these pages. Thank you very much.